Did you ever consider how important it is that an act of God done to you should impact you deeply? How deeply does it impact you? I'm going to give you a vivid example. There was a time when my wife and I went on a national tour, and everywhere we went, they wanted to feed us the prime food of whatever that regional area is. They took us to a restaurant, said, this is the best this. So when we were in New Orleans, you can imagine what we got. When we were in New York, we got the best Italian that there was. We were in Chicago. They treated us to a steak that was unforgettable. After that tour, we came home, and we had to go to Costco. So Michelle and I went to Costco. Now, my wife is thin, and one of the reasons Michelle is thin is because she forgets to eat, a concept that I cannot relate to at all. I'm constantly reminded to eat, and she just somehow doesn't do it. Now, if you hang with my wife and do all of the chores that are necessary and all the wonderful things she does to keep me organized, you're going to spend the day with her and you won't eat. And by the end of the day, we ended up at Costco, and we had shopped and done all the things we needed to do from having been gone for 2 weeks. And we had pizza in the park benches they have in the front. And you know what? That was the most delicious meal I had that month, and I couldn't figure it out. 5-star steak, ultimate Italian cuisine, the best Cajun seafood in New Orleans, and yet a pizza at Costco was the best. Why? Simple. I was hungry. Many people go to a church service and they say it wasn't that great. The fact is, it probably was awesome, but the individual wasn't hungry. And one day, Jesus met Nathanael, and it says these words. He found him. We have found the one whom Moses in the law and also the prophets spoke, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph. That's a limited revelation. That means he understood some of Christ, but not all of it. And you'll see that through the career of Nathanael, you'll see it, I've got my people confused. It is Philip who found Nathanael and said to him, we have found the individual we've been waiting on, Jesus, the son of Joseph. Now look at the reaction of Nathanael versus Philip. What I'm going to do is clarify this. Philip, shallow reaction. Nathanael, deep reaction. Here's the teaching. To have a deep reaction to something God does is very important. Now, and so Nathanael's reaction was, can any good thing come out of Nazareth? And Philip said, come and see. I'm reading from John chapter 1, now verse 47. Jesus saw Nathanael coming toward him and said of him, behold, an Israelite, indeed there in whom there is no guile or deceit. Nathanael said to them, how do you know me? Jesus answered and said to him, before Philip called you, when you were under the fig tree, I saw you. Now that's a miracle. How did he see him? Under a fig tree several miles away. He's the Son of God. But watch this, because this is important. Nathanael answered and said to him, Rabbi, you are the Son of God, the King of Israel. Here is what Philip said, son of Joseph. Here's what Nathanael said by revelation, Son of God, King of Israel. Difference in reaction. Philip's limited appetite and lack of profound hunger to respond to an act of God followed his career. We're going to see it. And Jesus said to Nathanael this, and this is the part that I think I really need to get to. He said, because I said I saw you under the fig tree, you believe, or you've had this revelation? He said, you will see greater things than this. Now, I can divide my audience right now into 2 groups. Those of you that will see awesome things from God, those of you that will see a lot less. And it's tied to this, the shallowness of what it takes. If God does something little and you give it a big response, you're going to see greater things. Now let me move on. It says that Philip saw Jesus turn water into wine. This is John 2:2. Now both Jesus and his disciples were invited to the wedding. They ran out of wine. The mother of Jesus said to him, they have no wine. And Philip saw water turned into wine. Now we have two things about Philip. Number one, he called Jesus the son of Joseph. Nathanael called him the Son of God. Now he has the physical proof of Christ's power to alter physical objects. So now in John chapter 6, Philip gets tested again. Jesus lifted up his eyes and seeing a great multitude coming toward him, said to them, Philip, where shall we buy bread that we may feed so many? But this he said in verse 6 of John chapter 6 to test him. God is trying to increase his capacity to respond to situations. You see, we think of maturity as God's voice getting louder, his miracles becoming clearer. God looks at it another way. The less force that I have to use to get you to move and respond, the more mature you are. We marvel when we see these horses that have been trained, and we cannot physically tell when the rider is giving that horse orders. It's because we see that this sharpness of their training is so incredible that they're able to respond to the least impulse. That's exactly what God is requiring of you. Now, Philip failed again. He said, you know what, 200 denarii worth of bread is not sufficient for them. $10,000 wouldn't pay for the food. And every one of them would only have a little. God looked at him as the one who had seen the water turn into wine, and he still didn't get it. He was being tested. He should have said, you know what? I saw you at a wedding when jars of water that you prayed over turned into wine. I should have known that what you meant was we could feed them by believing you for a miracle. Now, his test isn't over yet. In John 14:8, Philip may have been doing better, but he still was a little remedial. And Philip said to him, Lord, show us the Father, and it is sufficient for us. Jesus said to him, have I been with you so long, and yet you have not known me, Philip? Nothing matters more today than this. You need to recalibrate your spirit and say, I need God to give me signs, wonders, and miracles to prove that he is here. No, you need to stop and look at what he's already done and let the full impact of those signs that you've already received. Doesn't it say in John 14:12, he that believes in me and the works that I do, not the works I'm going to do, but if you believe in me and the works that I do, he shall do also, and greater works shall he do. Respond with deep sincerity and hunger to everything God says and does for you. God bless you.